Hello, welcome to Yates Makes and welcome to this video tutorial on oil pastel techniques. Join me, grab some paper, grab your oil pastels and we'll do this expressionist inspired fox. So you're going to start with an A4 sheet, sketch out an oval that really dominates the middle of that page. Okay, find your halfway point vertically, up about 45 degrees from that center point at the bottom. You're going to start a long triangle, just like so. This is where we're going to form the head. In the right hand half, another smaller oval. This is going to give us a guide for the hind leg, and our fox is going to curl into this oval shape. So pause when you need to, follow along, use my construction marks as a guide, and we're going to sketch out the basic shapes for the head. Ears, thinking about the profile of the face, the edges, the cheeks, as they narrow down into its snout, down into its nose, through its muzzle. Expressionism is very angular, so don't be afraid to use quite angular lines. Now you've got the outline of the head sketched. The tail is going to tuck under the muzzle. You're going to extend that smaller oval down to tuck the hind leg in under the tail and the muzzle too. A bit of detail in the ears. Now, nice and carefully, two little diagonals for the closed eyes. Mark on a small patch for the nose. Now, we're keeping forms, shapes really simple here because we're looking for an expressionistic kind of feel, but also oil pastel is not the easiest material to create detail with. We want some nice, bold, simple lines and shapes. Right, the background. We're going to try and imagine a background, lovely natural scene that kind of encloses our fox, almost like protecting it. So I'm going to wrap a tree up around the left. Okay, use my drawing as a guide. I'm slightly overlapping the tail there, look. Another tree over on the right. All the time thinking of framing that fox. Okay, this is like a series of little frames within frames that are going to all lead the eye into the middle where that sleeping fox is. Okay, again, use angular lines. Okay, it's going to give us that lovely German Expressionist feel. I'm thinking particularly, and if you don't know his artwork, the lovely paintings and prints of Franz Marc. Alright, a bit of detail, maybe some rocks or leaves, just vague shapes is all you need. Up in the background, a bit more detail, some more branches, tree trunks down in the bottom left and right corners. Now we're really nearly ready to block in some areas of tone. So let's get ready to zoom in a little and see where our darkest areas are going to be. So down where the tail and the hind leg tuck in under that head, under the muzzle, we can block in. Now I'm not doing a blend here, no, these are more angular shapes that I'm block filling with my pencil. Okay, a little bit above the eyes, down under the muzzle there, down under the tail, and I can start thinking about where these block shapes are of darkest tone on my background too. A little in the ears. Now everything I do in the background, particularly where it's close and touching the outline of the fox, is going to create lots of depth and nestle that little fox into the scene. Alright, so I'm definitely concentrating some patches of darker tone around its hind leg and its back there, underneath its tail at the bottom, concentrating those darkest areas in the area immediately around the fox. When I move out to the edges of the page, I can just improvise, okay? Anything you do just to create some rock, vegetation, layers of forms. Yeah, it's very indistinct. So, blocking in everything I've just done with pencil, with a Sharpie. Okay, we are going to be going over this with darker pastel later, but we're going to work lightest coming forward to darkest. So I'm marking on the areas I definitely want white, around the muzzle, a little bit around the side of the head. Slow this right down, take your time. Generally on the body, where it's facing up towards the light, we can put more. So our next colour is going to be yellow. So I'm going to drop some yellow into those areas where I haven't put white. If it happens to overlap the white, no problem. It will just blend nicely and you'll get a nice pale tint of yellow. Again, very blocked shapes. Going back in with my white, trying to blend some of those edges a little bit to get that pale tint and blend occasionally. Right, a very pale pink colour. Let's block in some more areas. This is going to work really well with our yellow and of course mix with those patches of white we put on as well. Okay, next colour is a stronger pink. So you'll notice now I'm working much closer to my black shadows, starting to create a bit of depth. The head, the forehead above the eyes, I think if I could call it a forehead, I don't know, but the top of the head, that's going to have some darker fur, so we're going to go in with the pink. Now I've moved to red, and being a little more careful in my application of this. It's a very strong colour. I don't want to overdo it. Again, working next to and even overlapping my black areas is going to create lots of tone here and suggest more depth. Starting to develop now. Now I'm thinking about my colour scheme. These kind of warmer colours I'm going to keep on the fox, and I think I'm going to use mainly some cooler colours, some blues and greens in my background. I'm certainly going to use my lighter colours to try and blend some little bridges between the red and the lighter pink and the yellow, just to soften some of those harsh shapes. So I'm going to drop a little of the colour that is going to dominate my background around the edges of the fox there, around its back, a little up on its shoulders, and this is going to harmonise my piece at the end. Now I'm really going to go heavy with this light blue colour on my background. Okay, the yellow and the pink, as I said, to harmonise, are going to appear subtly in the background too, but the blue is going to dominate. Clean up your picture, use a tissue, clean up your white especially, but your lighter colours where they're getting dirty. Right, now for my darkest colours. We don't want the texture of a permanent marker, Sharpie, right? So over those black areas, I'm first going to work my dark blue, and I'm being very careful here, very deliberate. Where I think I need it, I'm going to blend a little into the red, blend out into those colours, but I'm mainly concentrating my dark blue on those black permanent marker lines and blocks of tone. Okay, it's coming on now. I can work much looser, more general in the background because I've got bigger shapes. Going back in with my lighter colours just to offer up a few little blends, a few little patches of colour in these smaller details. So I've got some intricate work that will contrast really nicely with the broader blocked and blended areas in the background. And you certainly don't want to overcook it, okay? My last step is going to be to get the black oil pastel, and in a few choice places where I want most depth and most contrast, just drop a little bit of black and a little bit of blue into those areas. Don't need much, just enough to set those colours off and create that little bit of depth and contrast you need. Obviously my colour scheme is not the colour scheme you have to choose. Yeah, experiment, discover for yourself. This is just a guide, give you the basics for the drawing, give you some suggestions for how to frame that fox, some details, some shapes to put in for your background, and then suggestions on how to separate those colours out and harmonise the picture of it all. And before long, there's your final picture. Look, I hope you enjoyed this. It inspires you to have a go at oil pastel yourself. It's a fantastic medium for exploring colour and texture and being really loose and expressive with. Enjoy it. I really enjoyed this one. Take it easy. See you soon for another video.